All right, let's go. We're gonna go like walk through like Mechagon and just try to figure out, not figure out, but I'm gonna kind of just like walk through like some of the mechanics, some of the like I think the pain points of the dungeon, because this was a dungeon that, if I remember correctly, had a lot of spectral site mobs. So like even if you bring a rogue, you might have to deal with a lot of trash, or you have to be super careful with where you invis at. Mechagon was also unique because it had a very strong like power reward that if you messed up, you typically had to burn the key at lower levels, or at higher levels, I should say. At lower levels, it didn't matter as much. But if the bots are still going to exist, you're going to try to prioritize collecting as many shock bots as you can on as many players as you can. And on some tyrannical weeks, or maybe even fort weeks, you also want to prioritize the grease bots to have flat damage reduction. But the problem is, if you die, you lose the bots. At the start of the dungeon, there was a way to almost fast track your way to 5 shock bots and like 3 grease bots and a few haste bots for classes that prioritized haste. Now, a lot of classes do prioritize haste, but like this will be like a priority for like your blood decays, your prot warriors, your in-hand shamans. What else? What other class like really wants haste? Your warriors. The warriors will want to like try to fast track a haste bot. Remember people pulling stealth cats all the time in Junkyard? Yeah. There's a couple of stealth cats in this bad boy as well. I don't think they're changing the patrols or anything like that, so I think we can actually look at MDT and like take a look at it. So we're gonna set this to a mythic dungeon. I shouldn't have an issue in a mythic dungeon, right? Like I should just be able to fucking like kill bosses and trash if I accidentally pull them. So there was a strat for this dungeon. So when you start, you pop up here. The barrier is like around this thing. What you would do is you would like come over here and you would sneak through this hole. I think you can go through the hole. And this would put you into this field. Now the problem with this field though is that these mobs have spectral sight. So you had to be super careful about not going close to these scrap hounds. And you would actually run straight over to this hill. And you would go up to the top of this hill near the scrap bot. Now, what your tank would do, or at least what I did in this dungeon, is I would tag this scrap bot and I would have someone grab this haste bot and I would run this bot down here. And you would pull this pack here and this pack here. And that gave you access to one shock bot. Like right here, right? And then you also had the shock bot at the top of the hill. And then you would have one of your group members run up this way. I would have our rogue come up here. Our rogue would sneak past this scrap bot and there's a shock bot here. So before the first pull even happens, you have 1, 2, 3 shock bots ready to be used. Now the weird thing about this dungeon is like the boss order, because you during certain weeks you couldn't go to a certain boss first, or you would actually activate the hard rogue or hunter. Yeah, so like anything that can drop stealth, pretty much, or like a night elf player, right? Like if you're playing with alliance night elf players, like night elves will be really strong in this dungeon. This is a really good way to get like instant 3 bots. Now, if I'm not mistaken, there's also a shock bot like in this hole, but you would very rarely have someone go down in here. Oh yeah, but this crawler is a patrol that you typically didn't want to pull. And it goes up and down this path, so you have to be very careful. I think there's a bot in here. Yo, thanks for the follow. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Yeah, if you were able to get in here, grab the shock bot, and then fade off these slimes, you were able to do it. We used to have someone come down here who was able to also meld, because I played alliance during PFA. So I don't know if Sakrados you're still in chat, but I think you normally came down here and grabbed this bot, and then there was an awaken portal here. So you would go down, you'd grab the bot, you'd pop into this portal. Not having awaken's gonna be rough. So that's how you fast track getting bots at the start. There's also an like the welding bot here. Not the the grease is haste. Welding is the damage reduction. So a lot of top groups would have assignments for which bot each individual person would pick up, because you would want to like prioritize certain classes over others depending on it. Like you want your tank to get a welding bot first, because if your tank dies and you lose all your shock bots, you're fucked. So you want the tank to grab a welding bot first. You want your DPS to grab a shock bot, and you typically want healer to grab haste bot. And then after that, there's like a priority depending on just like secondary stat, stat weights, depending on your comp. Now, for most groups, it won't actually matter. But there are some instances where it's like, if you have 2 classes that are very like verse crit heavy, like let's just say you have like a Windwalker monk, you're not gonna want them to grab their haste bot. Oh, also there's a bot right here. So at this point you have 4 shock bots already, 4 or 5 if you have someone go into the tunnel. But again, you can only do that if you have someone who has the ability to feign. So in order to spawn this boss Gunker, you actually have to kill all of these monstrosities. In season 4, it needs to make a haste buff for Junkyard again. There might be a haste build, because right, these shock bots, yeah, okay, I remember that. They proc off of your ability to do damage faster. So like classes that had high haste would do more and more damage. So like things like Shadow Priest and Enhanced Shamans would typically, at a just like a flat level, like if you just like had your normal secondary stats, classes with higher haste would typically do more damage with shockbots than classes that didn't have high haste. And then what you saw at the top end, you're actually absolutely correct, is that people would actually start running Expedient Corruption, not because it was good for their class, but because it made their shockbot do damage, and shockbot scaled much faster. Yes, yeah, so in BFA, yes, the Expedient Corruption to have like just mega haste. Yeah, tanks too. Like everything. Everyone in your dungeon would run high haste. What's nice though is there isn't any spectral sight through here, so a lot of classes can stealth if you need to somehow fast track, or if you fuck up a shock bot and you need to come and grab a new one. But there's a large monstrosity slime all the way over here. There's one kind of patrolling around this area, and then there's one in the boss room. So you have to clear all 3 of them to spawn the boss. So with that in mind, you can pull in some of these other trash mobs. Now, of course, you never really wanted to pull multiple slimes or multiple lurkers together because they have like dangerous mechanics that need to be kicked and locked down. Obviously in pre-mades, you have a little bit more control over that, but in pugs, I never recommend pulling more than one of each of them at a time. So you would do maybe the slime with the lurker with the elemental. If you're feeling big dick and you have CDs, you can maybe pull the monstrosity in. And again, you just want to really be careful of some of the AoE and casts that they do. Gunker's a good boss though. But I think the only week you can't come here is when HK. So the HK oppression unit is flying over Gooba Mac, which means you can't go there first. So this is a week where you can't go to Gooba Mac first. That'll change next week, but you'll have to like, because when you go to the one that the oppression unit's over, that's what starts hard mode, and that adds an additional mechanic, and then it'll have the hard mode mechanics for the rest of the dungeon, which you obviously don't want. Yeah, it's like these patrols though, like these cavalry, as well as the hounds in the middle here, like it's hard to see, but they're way over here. They all have spectral sight, so you have to be really, really careful about stealth. Even this pack here, right? So like if you're ever shrouding through, you need to make sure that like this patrol's in the right position to like be able to actually sneak through. So you kind of have to like weave back and forth. There's a shockbot next to this tree here. This was an early welding bot that I would typically grab if I was going to Gooba Mac first. Oh, buddy. These big ass pulls. What's really nice, so if I'm not mistaken, Mythic Dungeon Tools should actually have all this shit still here. So you can actually see in MDT, this will be updated, I'm assuming, with the new affixes. Hopefully next week. Nagi gets this updated really quick. But you can see where the shock bots are actually located. The shock bots, the grease bots, and the welding bots. Do I have my old routes in here? Don't pull. Awakened Expert B. Holy shit, dude. This dungeon always looks so complicated with Awakened, right? I don't even remember what some of these are. Go over and around. This was an old route because we eventually started like doubling this up, pulling this shock bot down, doing like a massive pull here with Lust and Force. There was a strat where you'd actually try to skip most of this stuff because it just like was more annoying than anything else. But yeah, you can see where these are. But yeah, these cats, these Prowlers, they're very inefficient when it comes to percent. And they do a ton of damage, especially with their pounce, right? So they would like end up one-shotting people if you accidentally pulled them. And the issue is like people would awaken. There was like an awaken pillar here and you would drag it over to this corner and people would get close enough and this patrol goes around this path. So when they're down over here, it would sometimes pull and then wipe groups, which then makes you lose all your shock bots, which then puts your damage and like survivability way behind. And then it makes the dungeon way harder to complete. So the idea with this dungeon, similar to Necrotic Wake, is perfect play. So it's, I mean, right, Necrotic Wake, like if you don't want to go into a boss or go into a pull, use a weapon and then die. Because if you wipe and then don't have the weapon for that pull again, it's going to be much, much harder. So yeah, they patrol around this area. So just be careful. Never come over here. It's big scary. Like really big scary. Yeah, well, I don't know. This dungeon was like, it was annoying, but it was also very fun. It was a fun dungeon until you wiped. As soon as you wiped, like my group was at the point where we were doing keys. We were like 26s, 27s. I think at like we peaked at there. Like we didn't go much past that, but we would wipe, lose our shock bots. We would have a secondary shock bot location. We would get those shock bots if we wiped again for some reason, because it typically threw off the pacing of the key. It was done. You just hearth out. You lower to a 26 or 25 or whatever, and then you just blast it. This was a key that was crazy too chestable though. If you played perfectly, the timer was so easy. But if you fucked up, it was really, really punishing. Some of these mobs are really annoying though, like these blasters, right? So the blasters run around. They kind of like, they're similar to like Praetors, right? Like they run away, they don't have an interruptible cast, they run about 10 yards out and then they kind of just like start shooting people. So you want to make sure as a tank, you're dragging them over the mobs that are movable to the blaster. I think they're the blasters. Maybe they're, yeah, I think it's a blaster. I'll try to double check here. Is that this pull here? think it's the blasters. Yeah, the run or the run and gun. Yeah, so the caster shoots randomly at enemies while repositioning. So they just like randomly run off somewhere and then they start shooting you again. So Death Knights will be really good for this, right? Like having like Death Grip, Gorfiends. If you're running well, Gorfiends obviously, and then if you're running if you're playing Necrolord as a DK, that's like an option for this key, right? If this happens to be an issue. But like there's ways to counter with like Ring of Peace, with Knock, with Clash, with Typhoon. This middle pack was really, really scary. If I'm not mistaken, like you can technically just root this middle guy and they stop moving. So if you have the ability to keep them rooted away, you can like clean up this area pretty easily. Obviously mass root works as well. These crawlers were fucking nuts. You guys, I don't know if any of you remember these crawlers. These crawlers are really scary in 4 weeks. But you sometimes would want to clear this one because there's a welding bot here. There's a welding bot and a grease bot over here. There's also a shock bot inside this little like cubby. So good ways to pick up some early bots. But the Spectral site mobs you have to be careful of. Yeah, this was fucking good. This is a cool place. So typically what you would do is when you come into this key, you kind of look to see, okay, where can't we go first? Okay, so the HK unit, open up your map. The HK unit is above Gooba Mac. So we're gonna have to either go to Trixie or Gunker first. So your route is based off of where the HK is, and wherever the HK is, you can't go there. And always make sure you discuss that or like keep that in mind, because if you go to Gooba Mac first this week, you're gonna be in for a little bit of a rude awakening when you have like 2 extra mechanics for the whole fight that are very punishing if you fuck up. It normally just like shoots down missiles and stuff, right? If I remember correctly, it just shoots down missiles. There might be one other mechanic, but it just like don't add that extra level of difficulty to a key for no reason. And then based on like which way you go, there's some groups that opted to go and you clear all of your trash and get all of your bots first, even if it meant like going to this area, clear this area out, grab your bots, leave, then come back to Gunker, just so everyone has all of their bots to optimize their damage fully. So fast tracking bots is the best way to clear this key. You can even see where I have my awakened targeting. It's actually still targeted here, the Void Weaver Malthrill. Malthier? There we go. That's crazy, man. This is old school shit. I'm gonna end up ranting about this for hours, aren't I? Fast track bots, don't go to where the HK is, and don't fuck up. And if you can do all of those things successfully, you should have a pretty easy time clearing the dungeon. Haste is obviously like a big priority for this place because it scales with bots. Now again, like they might tune all of this, like they might retouch how bots work and stuff, or they might take bots out. I have no idea. I could see Blizzard doing some really just stupid shit. I'm not sure if any of you can picture that, but I can totally see Blizzard like taking out bots. And then it's like, okay, then Mechagon's like the worst dungeon, because that's always fun. Like I know it's not like most of your damage is going to come from bots, but so these guys do this thing where it's consumed. This is spell reflectable, by the way. You could spell reflect this. No, you can't. Can't what? Your imagination isn't that good? Yeah, probably not. So that consumes, consume is really bad, but yeah, it's spell reflectable if you're a warrior. If not, you just run away from it. I think that's the only thing dangerous they do. I think they do 1 cast, which needs to be kicked. Thanks, QB. You're a dick. What do slimes do again? Let's see if they thing. Yeah, I can't imagine. The lurkers do a channeled stun. The smog. The slime spawns droplets, which obviously you want to pick up threat on. It's good for cleave. It's good for icy vein resets for frost mages. It's good for funnel damage. I'm surprised. Actually, I thought I was gonna be just like one-shotting the shit, but I'm not, which is kind of good. Yeah, slimes are just, you just want to kill these as fast as possible. I think you could stun the acid splash to prevent them from like duplicating. I'll try it on the next one, because I remember that being kind of important, or at least it delays it. Ooh, wait, I should grab a shock bot. What am I doing? Give me this. Give me it. Assistance protocol activated. So now you have a 2-over buff. Attacks have a chance to inflict additional nature damage that chains to nearby enemies. So it's like a chain lightning. You can see it proccing there. Easy, dude. Oh, and don't be near these guys when they die, because they leave us. Oh shit, this smog does damage, doesn't it? So what you could do is can't you keep enemies in here and they get the debuff? Yeah. Shockbot is so broken. I mean, yeah, look at this. Like it's still doing like a decent bit of my damage in an M0. So yeah, hold mobs inside of this pool. Okay, I remember this shit. Okay. So my group, we would pull this lurker over. We would kill this lurker with like a few pulls or a few different mobs. And then we would drag the monstrosity into this lurker so it would take extra damage. Slime bolt, you obviously want to kick. We stun there on acid splash. Slime wave is a frontal charge that knocks you. Look at us, we're relearning so much good knowledge. So lurker dies here. I can then drag them into it. They have the debuff where they're taking plague damage and their healing is... Oh, and like you don't want to stand in this because your healing taken is reduced. So then you would pull this monstrosity back over here. And then it would take extra damage. And this damage scales with key level, right? So like in higher key levels, it's going to do a lot more damage. Yeah, Prot Warriors were so fucking broken too. Oh my god, I can't get out. I don't know why I ran back in. Getting hit by consuming slime just like hits you, gives you a big old fat healing absorption. And does damage to you every couple seconds. Easy. Yeah, so Zapbot is insane. Insane big damn. All right, so boom, we killed all our guys. There are some groups who actually would kill this last one first because there's travel time, right? So there's travel time with this little squirt bot. He has to run all the way to the boss before it spawns. And obviously, like, waiting for this is annoying. Now, obviously, like, you can grab food buffs here. You can kill more trash if you want to. You can go and off and grab your new bots now if you don't have it for everyone while Gunker spawns. And then you can always come back here later. So that is A-okay. So let's... I'll wait a second. I want to wait for my cash trinket, and then I'll fucking nuke this dude. Big nuke. And then this boss was weird because you wanted to stay near these bots. You want to obviously dodge the pools or you get caught in slime, which is not good. And then these things also get caught in slime and you need to DPS them out. So you can either stand behind when he does his little slime wave. So is this Coalesce? Is this the one where he sucks it in? Yeah, so he sucks it in. You stand in the bot. Depot. Oh, Mr. Dream, what dungeon are you most excited for and why? I'm not excited for Depot. I'm actually most excited for... I think Karazhan. So at 50 energy, he sucks, and at max energy, he blows. If you're not melee range, he sludge bolts. And then again, he does this toxic wave. If you're behind it, it actually won't hit you. So look at this. Boom. Easy peasy. Yeah, so I'm most excited for, like, I think the Karazhans, either one. This boss was Giga free. If, yeah, it was either like you either kill this boss like really quickly or you just got fucking nuked and your group would just get wiped super quickly. So you want your range to break out like these things, like the goops, right? And the reason I'm most excited for Upper Karazhan is it's because it was like, I don't know, it's more like memory based. I don't think it's going to be a great dungeon. I think it might be overtuned and stuff. Yeah, what's up, Hal? Yeah, so the thing is, like, I normally would be excited for Mechagon, and I'm not because we don't have Awaken anymore. And I think Awaken is what made it, like, obviously really fun. Ooh, congrats on your timed key. So Karazhan was really cool. Yo, there's that weapon you're talking about, Kex. Karazhan was really cool because it was like the first mega dungeon. It's also like it's very different. Like the two wings are very different. Like one is very single target focused, one's very, or I guess, trash focused. But on top of that, like the dungeon design for Mechagon was just fucking trippy. Do you guys remember what is it? Like the chess room, or where you're running through and it's like, it's all warped and stuff too. Like, it's just like a cool, like you jump down a hole and then you're like falling upwards. And it's just like, it's trippy as fuck, dude. Like smoke a couple doobies, hit some of that devil's lettuce, and go and do that key, man, and you're gonna have a good time. All right, so these little Aster Blasters were fine. Yeah, you love holes, I bet, dude. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So this guy runs away, right? So then you want to run over to him, stack these guys up. Easy peasy. Watch out for the scrap grenade. That's obviously going to do big damn, especially on fort weeks. And typically focus the blaster because the scrappers are easy to move. This patrol gets kind of close as a druid. I recommend rooting it. Just like with that. It does hit the fantasy. Yeah, and it's just like, Karazhan is so iconic, right? As a dungeon. Then I think it's going to be really good. So something you could do if you don't want to pull this crawlers, you can actually, I think, line of sight these guys like way back here. I think. Yeah, so this guy comes. So this is actually line of sight here. Obviously, it's a little weird with this blaster running off this direction, but do not go near this path. But yeah, Karazhan was just super iconic. And like, that's why I'm excited for it, because I'm like ready to go into like a cool thematic dungeon again. And it was also fun, and I'm hoping that it's not overtuned, because the bosses, if I remember correctly, were really engaging. The trash was like, it was very Zug. Like, that was before they added like a bunch of trash mechanics. Like, the issue with Shadowlands dungeons were that like every pull had like 3 or 4 mechanics you had to pay attention to, where back in the day, you would just Zug trash for the most part. I mean, obviously, like there were some mechanics, but I just feel like now there's way more. So at the start of this fight, this douchebag, Naeno, jumps on his bike, and he goes sprinting around, and then he creates this line of sight pool. And then this girl you need to have a kick rotation on, Trixie. And this guy will keep charging in the same direction he's facing, so you want to make sure you're dodging it. That's where the line of sight pool is, so you keep these guys stacked. And then she's going to target someone with Megatase. And then Megatase, you want to make sure you're running into here to create line of sight so it misses you. So see how it missed? If you're not line of sighting in this smoke cloud, you're dead. Bolt Buster is a very small cone frontal, so don't be on top of the tank. And just make sure you're kicking Taze. These guys should die evenly, because if one dies before the other one gets enraged and does like a mega Chad damage. I think it's better if she's up, because you can always kick and you can line of sight, but if he's still up, he starts whacking your tank like crazy, and your tank will probably fall over on Tyrannical Weeks. Watch out for roadkill, and then again, keep kicking. All right, big Gooba. What can we do here? So Gooba's pretty easy. He's just like a Padlord fight, right? So these bullies won't be in. It's just gonna be Gooba, because we'll probably clear most of the room. He does this rumble. This is big AoE damage. You want to make sure you're dodging the swirls on the ground. You typically rotate like a defensive cooldown, a group cooldown. It does physical damage, I'm pretty sure. And then he spawns these little grunters, which are great for cleave. And then what he'll do is he'll do this tank buster. Everyone stacks inside of this. What it does is it supercharges the group, and then you run over to one of these pylons. But unfortunately, I'm max level, and he missed, so it obviously isn't going to charge the totem. But this totem will then kill all of these grunters for free. So it's like part of a cleave fight, part like... It's more just like visual fucking shit being thrown at you, because most of these little ads are just going to die naturally to the boss mechanic. And these shockwaves don't exist. If you're not pulling it's the bullies that are doing this to me. All right, let's see. So at 100 energy, he does charge smash. Let's see if it hits. So it hits me. I have this electric charge. I run over to this thing. I pop it, and it's gonna just start killing all of these little grunter dudes. There are 4 pylons in each of the corners. So there's, oh, I can't put down markers. Fucking fuck. So there's one here. There's one here. There's one way back here, and there's one right here. And then there's also this bot, and this bot spins around and kills all this shit for you too. So either way, it works. We're gonna just pop this and get this fight over with. So charge smash, I get electrically charged. I run over to this thing, it charges it, it gets rid of my debuff. I'm not taking nature damage anymore. So in higher keys, you sometimes will have assignments. But we'll see. Boss goes down. I got log. Let's go. Get out of here, sir. And now that all 3 bosses are killed, we can head to the final boss. Yeah, log is fucking insane. Dude, look at this weapon. It's so cool looking. It's just literally a log. And it's my favorite thing in the game. Let's take a little gander at the last boss, and I want to go inside, because I want to talk about the minigame and stuff. Is actually why that's originally why I came here, is to talk about the minigame and stuff inside an upper Mechagon, or Mechagon Workshop, however you want to call it. You dual wield log as Fury. That's nuts. I hope you have like a lumberjack outfit. I think you could buy like a flannel. Can't you get like a flannel shirt? I'm pretty sure there is. Yeah, right here. You have the blue lumberjack shirt. You should wear the blue lumberjack shirt with like no clothes and just wield 2 logs. We got to be careful of the Spectral Sight. You can actually hug this wall and you can avoid Spectral Sight mobs here, which is good. Yo, what's up, Bane Locky? Hopefully you've been enjoying the world's worst Twitch stream. You should make a lumberjack outfit with the logs. Shah approved. More than likely you'll clear some of this trash. This stuff over here is really efficient, actually. These troopers and renormalizers, like oftentimes you would see groups in dungeons like just pull all of this shit, because for the tank it was pretty easy to negate. You can't stealth past this pull, but what's really interesting is unless they fix it, there is this cavalry. If you pull them up here and they do he does this rapid fire cast, you can actually stand below it and it shouldn't hit you. I might be wrong about that. They might have hotfixed it, but it used to work like that. You just keep the mob right here, and then it shouldn't hit anyone, and you could just stand here and just cleave. More often than not, during the Awaken affix, you would actually skip past this pull with an Awaken. There was an Awaken pillar over here, and there was also one, I think, over here. So you would like run from this side, you would run over here, and then you would go from here up into the boss room. At least my group did. I'm not sure what other groups did. Outside of that, I don't know. Like, I don't want to make a route yet, because I have no idea what the meta is going to be. This boss was a shit show, though. Do you guys remember this guy? I'm gonna walk through it briefly, but oh man, was this boss like a total bitch. So this guy is the boss. He's like, it's like a 2-part boss. So there's this HK unit up in the air who's now taking, he's immune to all attacks. And then you have this big man, right? So this is the guy you gotta beat. That was a nightmare my first time fighting it. Yeah, so this fight's weird, because if I'm not mistaken, you pull this man, you have to kill him. You have to kill this man. So it's weird, because there's a burn phase on the boss. So what I normally do is I would pull him off to the side like this because this thing goes typically through the middle. So if it's always going through the middle, that means you pretty much have pizza slices to stand in. So you're gonna want to then like sidestep these. But this guy's also going to spawn bots. These bots are going to spawn here, and then you want to move away from them, and you can actually CC them. So we can get Master Root, we can get a regular Root, you can Typhoon it, you can stun it, you can do whatever. And then these bots will eventually blow up, but they leave a trail, right? So you want to keep them in place so it doesn't clutter up the room. And essentially what you do is you keep kiting around. And then once this dude dies, you'll see the boss channeling one of these pillars in a second. So he's going to channel this pillar instead of this one. So now what we need to do is we'll root those guys. We'll run all the way up here. And then we have to do a mini game. So this is weird. Okay, so locks. Locks can put down a gate from right here up to here and skip all this. But if not, you have to like dodge this like spot stun and this beam. Now I think actually we could we Door of Shadows to the top. Oh, that's cheating. And then what you do is you channel this, and this has energy. The more people who can get up here, the faster this channel will go down. And then what you would typically do is you would wait here, and then this stun would go off. You can then sidestep this, and then you just full channel, and you like AFK. Yeah, you can't jump over it, but jumping over it, man, is a real sketch, because I've seen keys get burnt by someone trying to like jump, where it's like if you just ran around, it would have been fine. So now you want at least 2 to 3 people, and then typically what would happen here is you want whoever has the most damage. So all like CDs up, pot, whatever it might be, they want to start heading down when the thing has like 10 to 20 energy left. So you can get stunned, it'll send you back down here, then you start running towards the boss. Because as soon as this gets down to 0 energy, the boss is attackable, and you have a very short window to do a bunch of damage. Or you want to like send your slowest class down, right? Like the Druid is really fast, a Monk would be really fast, your Windwalker would be really fast as well. You can also set up like Transcendence and shit. So all right, energy's done. We're gonna go travel form, I guess. And now for 30 seconds, starting now, right? We have to get to him and burn him. So I'm gonna actually start ramping my Ravenous Frenzy. And then you want to do as much damage in this window as possible. Obviously, having your Zap bots will help, having Lust, having your Haste bots, your Grease bots, whatever. And then if you don't kill him, you have to do this all over again, which is not fun. Yeah, so it's around 20. So it depends on if you decide to have 1 person stay or 2 people stay. Are we keying tomorrow night? Dude, I'm keying all day. At least that's my plan. All right, so yeah, boom. That is lower Mechagon refresher for all of you guys in chat still. I will be asked, I think I'm gonna actually turn that into a YouTube video because I've been meaning to do that, so I'll just make it easy.